The Universal Assessment Chamber buzzed with anticipation. Hundreds of alien dignitaries from across 70 star systems had gathered for what the Galactic Council called the most important event in recorded history, the final calibration of the species hierarchy scanner. Director Kvolks, a towering mantis-like creature with crystalline eyes and 6 segmented arms, stood at the central podium. His mandibles clicked with satisfaction as he surveyed the crowd. Esteemed representatives, Kvolks announced, his voice amplified through translation matrices embedded in every seat. Today, we witness the culmination of 400 cycles of research. The species hierarchy scanner will finally, definitively, rank every sentient race in the known galaxy by their biological potential, combat capability, and evolutionary advantage. Applause rippled through the chamber. Well, what passed for applause among species with tentacles, claws, energy fields, and appendages that defied conventional description? No more debates, Kvolks continued, his antennae twitching with excitement. No more territorial disputes about who deserves what resources. The scanner cannot lie. It reads genetic code, cellular structure, neural capacity, and physical capabilities, and assigns an objective classification. Bronze for basic sentience. Silver for moderate advancement. Gold for superior development. Platinum for exceptional potential. And diamond, the theoretical pinnacle, for a species so advanced they would be essentially unstoppable. A Krillian diplomat, resembling a floating jellyfish made of liquid mercury, pulsed with curiosity. Has any species ever achieved diamond classification? Not yet, Kvolks admitted, his mandibles clicking in what might have been a smile. In fact, our projections suggest diamond classification may be biologically impossible. But the scanner accounts for all possibilities. At the back of the chamber, leaning against a support column with her arms crossed and an amused smirk on her face, stood Captain Zara Voss. Human. Female. 32 years old. Unimpressed. She had been invited as a courtesy, nothing more. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Council 18 months ago, after a mining vessel stumbled through a wormhole and made first contact with a Valorian trade ship. Since then, humans have been treated like adorable cosmic toddlers, patted on the head, given a participation trophy, and told to sit quietly while the adults talked. Zara hated it. We will now begin the demonstration, Kvolks announced. Each species will send one representative through the scanner. The results will be displayed for all to witness. We begin with the Thranix Empire. A massive reptilian creature, easily 9 feet tall with obsidian scales and eyes that glowed like hot coals, stepped forward. The crowd murmured appreciatively. The Thranix were legendary warriors, conquerors of 17 star systems, feared throughout the Outer Rim. The scanner activated. A cylinder of blue light descended from the ceiling, enveloping the Thranix warrior. Data streamed across holographic displays. Numbers calculated. Algorithms processed. The result appeared in glowing letters above the warrior's head. Gold class, Tier 7. The chamber erupted in respectful acknowledgement. Gold classification was extraordinary. Only 12 species in recorded history had achieved it. The Thranix warrior bowed and returned to his delegation, pride evident in every step. Impressive, Kvolks commented. Next, the VRYNN Collective. A being of pure crystallized energy floated forward, its form constantly shifting between solid and ethereal states. The scanner analyzed. Calculated. Gold class, Tier 9. Even higher. The VRYNN representative pulsed with satisfaction. One by one, species stepped forward. The Keltorians achieved silver, Tier 5. The Zephrons reached gold, Tier 3. The More Than Ascendancy hit gold, Tier 6. Each result was met with varying degrees of celebration or disappointment. Zara watched with growing boredom. This whole spectacle felt like a cosmic measuring contest, and she had better things to do. Like literally anything else. And now, Kvolks announced, his tone dripping with barely concealed condescension, we welcome our newest council member. The humans. A few polite chirps and clicks echoed through the chamber. Mostly silence. Zara could practically feel the indifference radiating from the crowd. She pushed off the column and walked down the aisle with deliberate casualness, hands in the pockets of her uniform jacket. She had specifically chosen her most informal attire for this occasion: black cargo pants, combat boots, a fitted tank top under her unbuttoned jacket, and her standard-issue sidearm holstered at her hip. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No ceremony. No pretense. Just Zara. Kvolk's crystalline eyes tracked her approach. Captain Voss. How delightful that you could join us. Please, step into the scanner. Yeah, Zara muttered, loud enough for the translation matrices to pick up. Let's get this over with. She stepped into the scanning zone, arms still casually at her sides. The blue light descended. She felt a slight tingling sensation as the scanner probed her biology, reading every cell, every strand of DNA, every neural pathway. The data streamed. Numbers calculated. And then something unexpected happened. The scanner froze. The blue light flickered. Error codes appeared on the holographic displays. The algorithm stumbled, recalculated, stumbled again. Kvolk's antennae shot straight up in alarm. What is happening? Technician, report. A small, slug-like creature slithered to a control panel, its eye stalks scanning readouts frantically. Director, the scanner is encountering an anomaly. It cannot classify the subject. Cannot classify? Kvolk's mandibles clicked with irritation. That is impossible. The scanner has catalogued over 9,000 species. Run the analysis again. The technician complied. The scanner reset, hummed to life, and descended once more over Zara. She stood there, fighting the urge to tap her foot impatiently. Same result. Errors. Flickering. Confusion. The chamber filled with confused murmurs. Representatives leaned forward in their seats. What could confuse the infallible scanner? Zara caught Kvolk's eye and shrugged. Technical difficulties? This makes no sense, Kvolk hissed, his composure cracking. Technician, what is the scanner attempting to classify her as? The slug creature's eye stalks trembled as it read the display. Director, the scanner keeps rejecting its own conclusions. It has attempted to assign a bronze classification, but the subject's capabilities exceed parameters. It attempted silver, but again, capabilities exceeded. It tried gold, but the same issue persists. It is now attempting platinum classification. The chamber went silent. Platinum was reserved for species like the Ethrons, beings who could manipulate matter at the molecular level, or the Kronith, who possessed telepathic abilities that could influence entire populations. The scanner hummed louder. The blue light intensified. Data flooded the displays. Then, slowly, the light changed color. Blue shifted to white. White shifted to something that had never been seen before, a color that seemed to exist beyond the normal spectrum, something that made every being in the chamber instinctively uncomfortable. The display flickered one final time. And then, in letters that seemed to burn with impossible energy, a single word appeared above Zara's head: Unclassified, Apex Designation. The chamber exploded into chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Kvolk's mandibles clattered so rapidly that it sounded like machine gun fire. The technician's eye stalks wilted in panic. Apex? Someone screamed. That classification does not exist. The scanner must be malfunctioning, another voice insisted. Zara stepped out of the scanning zone, completely calm, still with that infuriating smirk on her face. So, does that mean I win? Kvolk rounded on her, all 6 arms gesticulating wildly. This is not possible. You are human. Your species barely has interstellar travel. You have no psionic abilities, no energy manipulation, no enhanced physiology beyond basic mammalian standards. How can the scanner designate you as Apex? Zara scratched the back of her head, as if considering how to explain something very simple to someone very confused. Have you considered that maybe your scanner is actually working fine, and you just don't understand what you're looking at? Explain, Kvolk demanded, his voice dropping to a dangerous hiss. All right, Zara said, walking slowly around the scanning platform like a professor giving a lecture. Your scanner measures biological potential, combat capability, and evolutionary advantage, right? Well, here is the thing about humans. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We do not have the best senses or the longest lifespans or the most impressive natural weapons. She paused, letting her words sink in. But we have something none of you have. We are the galaxy's most efficient persistence predators. Back on Earth, before we had technology, my ancestors would hunt animals by literally following them until the animal died of exhaustion. Not because we were faster. Because we simply would not stop. Ever. A few representatives shifted uncomfortably. We heal from injuries that would kill most species, Zara continued. We can survive in temperature ranges that span hundreds of degrees. We can eat foods that are toxic to almost every other sentient race. We can hold our breath for minutes, run for hours, and our pain tolerance is so absurdly high that we have documented cases of humans continuing to fight after losing limbs. She turned to face Kvolks directly, her eyes hard. And here is the best part. The part that probably broke your little scanner. We are the only species in this galaxy that actively seeks out things that can kill us, just for fun. We climb mountains that have no oxygen. We dive to ocean depths that would crush most creatures. We invented extreme sports. We box. We fight. We compete. Not because we have to. Because we want to. The chamber had gone deathly silent. We are adaptable beyond measure, Zara said quietly. You put a human in any environment, any situation, any challenge, and we will find a way to not just survive, but thrive. We do not have one evolutionary advantage. We have all of them. Endurance, intelligence, tool use, social cooperation, pattern recognition, creative problem solving, and most importantly, we are too stubborn to know when we are supposed to give up. She crossed her arms, that smirk returning. So yeah, Apex sounds about right. Kvolk stared at her, his crystalline eyes reflecting a mixture of disbelief and something that might have been fear. This is absurd, he finally managed. One individual does not represent an entire species. Then scan another human, Zara suggested. Scan 100. Scan 1,000. I guarantee you will get the same result every time. A Thranix representative stood, his obsidian scales rattling with challenge. Perhaps the scanner is measuring potential, but potential means nothing without proof. I propose a practical demonstration. If humans are truly Apex class, then prove it. Face me in the combat arena. Now. Zara's smirk widened into a full grin. Now we are talking. The combat arena materialized within minutes. The Galactic Council had not anticipated needing it today, but the chamber's adaptive architecture could reconfigure for virtually any purpose. Seats rearranged themselves in a circular pattern around a raised platform, 40 meters in diameter, surrounded by an energy barrier designed to contain even the most destructive conflicts. Zara stood on one side of the platform, rolling her shoulders, stretching her neck. She had removed her jacket, revealing the fitted black tank top and the lean, defined musculature of someone who trained regularly. Not bulky. Just efficient. Every muscle had a purpose. Across from her stood Commander Thrak, the Thranix warrior who had scored Gold Class, Tier 7. He was a living nightmare of evolutionary perfection. 9 feet of scaled muscle, claws that could shred reinforced steel, teeth like serrated knives, and strength that could bend titanium bars. His species had conquered 17 star systems through military might alone. He looked down at Zara with something between amusement and pity. Little human, Thrak rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. I have killed warriors twice your size before breakfast. I do not wish to harm you, but you have made claims that insult every species in this chamber. I will give you one chance to withdraw. Zara cracked her knuckles, one at a time, the sound echoing through the sudden silence. Appreciate the offer, big guy. But I have got a reputation to maintain. Besides, I have been sitting in boring council meetings for 6 months. I need the exercise. Kvolks's voice crackled through the arena speakers. The rules are simple. Combat continues until one participant yields, is incapacitated, or is eliminated. Lethal force is permitted. Medical teams stand ready. Does each combatant understand? Understood, Thrak growled. Crystal clear, Zara replied, bouncing lightly on the balls of her feet. Then begin. Thrak moved first, and holy hell, he was fast. For something that size, his speed was terrifying. He closed the distance in 3 massive strides, claws extended, aiming to end this in one devastating strike. Zara did not try to block. She did not try to dodge dramatically. She simply was not there when the claws arrived, shifting her weight, turning her body, letting Thrak's momentum carry him past her. She was already moving, her boot connecting with the back of his knee with surgical precision. Thrak stumbled, barely. Surprised, but not hurt. He spun faster than should have been possible, his tail whipping around like a battering ram. Zara dropped flat, the tail passing inches above her, then rolled forward, coming up inside his guard. She drove her elbow into his solar plexus, right where her quick analysis had identified a gap in his overlapping scales. Thrak grunted. Actual pain registered in his eyes. Surprise followed immediately after. That actually hurt, he admitted, respect creeping into his tone. Then his expression hardened. Good. The fight escalated. Thrak attacked with everything he had. Claws. Teeth. Tail. Crushing strength. He was not holding back anymore. Each strike could have pulverized concrete. Each bite could have severed limbs. And Zara danced through it all like water flowing around rocks. She was not stronger. She was not tougher. But she was reading him. Every telegraph. Every weight shift. Every pattern. Humans were pattern recognition machines, evolved to track prey across endless savannas, to predict movement, to find weakness. And Thrak, for all his power, had patterns. Zara took hits. She had to. Avoiding everything was impossible. A glancing blow from his tail sent her sprawling. She rolled with it, came up bleeding from a cut on her shoulder, and immediately countered, driving her knee into his ribs with enough force to crack one. The crowd was on its feet now. Every single representative was watching with rapt attention. She should be dead, someone whispered. Why is she still moving? Another voice asked. Because humans did not stop. That was the answer. Pain was just information. Injury was just a problem to solve. And Zara had been in enough fights to know that winning was not about being invincible. It was about being too stubborn to quit. Thrak was breathing harder now, frustrated. He had landed solid hits. Hits that should have ended this. But the human kept coming, kept adapting, kept finding angles he did not know he had exposed. Stand still, he roared, unleashing a devastating overhead strike with both claws. Zara sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and used his own momentum against him, a textbook judo throw that sent all 9 feet and several hundred pounds of Thranik's warrior crashing to the arena floor. Before he could recover, she was on his back, her arm locked around his throat in a chokehold that targeted his carotid artery, cutting off blood flow to his brain. Thrak thrashed. His strength was enormous. He tried to throw her off. Tried to claw at her. Tried everything. But Zara held on with grim determination, her legs wrapped around his torso, her arm like a vice. She had locked in the position perfectly. And humans, those persistent, relentless, infuriating humans, had grip strength evolved from millions of years of climbing trees and holding on to prey. She was not letting go. Thrak's movements became sluggish. His vision blurred. For the first time in his military career, darkness crept in at the edges. Yield, Zara whispered in his ear, her voice calm despite her elevated heart rate. You fought well. But this is over. Yield. For a long moment, pride warred with pragmatism in Thrak's fading consciousness. Then, with the last of his strength, he tapped the ground 3 times. The universal signal of submission. Zara released immediately, rolling off him, breathing hard but steady. She stood, offered her hand to help him up. Thrak stared at the offered hand for several seconds, then accepted it, allowing the small human to help pull him to his feet. The crowd watched in absolute silence as the towering warrior and the human captain stood face to face. You fought with honor, Thrak said slowly, his voice carrying genuine respect. I underestimated you. That was my error. You are a hell of a fighter, Zara replied, wiping blood from her split lip. That tail strike nearly took my head off. Nice move. Something resembling a smile crossed Thrak's reptilian features. Perhaps Apex designation is not so absurd after all. The arena erupted. Not with protest this time. With something else entirely. Acknowledgement. Understanding. And for some species, a creeping sense of concern about what humanity's presence in the galaxy might actually mean. Kvolks descended to the arena floor, his 6 arms folded in a gesture that conveyed deep thought. Captain Voss. You have demonstrated something today that data alone could not convey. However, I must ask, are all humans capable of what you just accomplished? Zara laughed, then winced as the movement pulled at her injured shoulder. Me? I am just a mid-level military officer. You want scary? Talk to our special forces. Our martial artists. Our athletes. Hell, talk to a regular human parent protecting their kid. You will see what Apex really means. She turned to address the entire chamber, her voice carrying clearly. Look, I get it. We are new here. We do not have your technology, your psionic powers, your centuries of space travel. But we have been fighting and surviving and adapting since before we could even speak in complete sentences. We climbed our way up from prey animals to apex predators on a death world where literally everything was trying to kill us. We did not just survive. We thrived. We conquered our entire planet. Then we looked at the stars and decided to conquer those too. She paused, letting her words settle. So yeah, your scanner got it right. We are the Apex class. Not because we are the best at any one thing, but because we are good enough at everything, and we absolutely refuse to quit. Ever. You can outrun us, but we will track you. You can be stronger, but we will outsmart you. You can have better technology, but we will learn it, steal it, or build our own. That is what humans do. We adapt. We overcome. We persist. Kvolks's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. And if the Council were to challenge this designation? If we demanded further proof? Zara's expression hardened, but her smirk never quite disappeared. Then I would invite you to study human history. Read about the wars we fought against each other. The empires we built and destroyed. The diseases we survived. The environmental catastrophes we endured. Read about people who climbed Mount Everest just because it was there. About scientists who tested dangerous theories on themselves. About ordinary people who ran into burning buildings to save strangers. She walked slowly toward Kvolks, her boots echoing on the arena floor. And then ask yourself, do you really want to test whether the scanner was right? Because I promise you, Director, we are just getting started. Right now, we are still figuring out this whole galactic civilization thing. We are being polite, playing by your rules, learning your customs. But never, ever mistake politeness for weakness. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. We are the species that looked at nuclear weapons and used them. Twice. Then decided maybe we should not do that again, and actually managed to not destroy ourselves. We are the species that went to our moon using computers less powerful than the devices we now carry in our pockets. We are the species that stared into the abyss of our own extinction multiple times and said, not today. Zara stopped directly in front of Kvolks, looking up at the towering mantis-like director without a trace of intimidation. So here is my suggestion, Director. Update your classification system. Add Apex as an official category. And understand that humanity earned that designation through 4 billion years of evolution that prioritized one thing above all else, survival. We are not better than other species. We are just more stubborn. And in this universe, stubbornness counts for a lot. Kvolks studied her for a long moment, his crystalline eyes unreadable. Then slowly, his mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement, or respect, or possibly both. Very well, Captain Voss. The Council will convene to discuss the scanner results and their implications. In the meantime, I believe you require medical attention. That shoulder wound looks painful. Zara glanced at her bleeding shoulder and shrugged with the other one. I have had worse. But yeah, probably should get that looked at. Would hate to get space tetanus or whatever you guys have out here. As medical personnel rushed forward to tend to both Zara and Thrak, The representatives began filing out of the chamber, their conversations animated and urgent. The entire political landscape of the galaxy had just shifted, and everyone knew it. A small delegation approached Zara as the medics worked on her shoulder. 3 representatives, a VRYNN energy being, a Kaltorian scholar with 4 eyes and crystalline skin, and surprisingly, another human, Ambassador Marcus Webb, Humanity's official council representative. "Captain," Ambassador Webb said, his tone caught between exasperation and admiration. "That was either the most brilliant or most reckless display of diplomacy I have ever witnessed." "Probably both," Zara admitted cheerfully. "But hey, they noticed us now." The VRYNN representative pulsed with curiosity. "Captain Voss, your species fascinates me. This persistence you speak of, this refusal to yield, is it truly universal among humans?" Zara considered the question seriously. Not every human is a fighter. But every human has that core trait. We persist. We endure. A scientist will work for decades on a single problem. An artist will practice for years to master their craft. A parent will sacrifice everything for their children. We all carry that fundamental stubbornness. It is just expressed in different ways. The Kaltorian scholar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "And you do not fear what this designation might mean? Other species may view humanity as a threat now." "Let them," Zara said bluntly. "We did not come to the stars looking for a fight. But we did not come here to be underestimated either. Respect works both ways. You treat us like equals, we will be the best allies you could ask for. Try to treat us like children or threats, and you will discover exactly why the Apex designation exists." The medic finished sealing her shoulder wound and stepped back. Zara tested the movement, satisfied that the repair was solid. She grabbed her jacket from where she had tossed it earlier and shrugged it back on. Thrak approached, moving more slowly than before, his ribs still healing. "Captain Voss, I would be honored if you would share a meal with my delegation. We, Thranics, respect strength and courage above all else. You have demonstrated both today." Zara grinned. "Now that is the best offer I have had all day. I am starving. Fighting always makes me hungry." As they walked together toward the exit, an unlikely friendship forming between human and Thranics, the massive viewscreen in the chamber flickered to life one last time. The species hierarchy scanner displayed its final, official report. Species, Humanity. Origin, Sol System, Earth. Classification, Apex. Threat Assessment, Maximum. Alliance Potential, Maximum. Recommendation, engage with extreme caution and absolute respect. This species has demonstrated capabilities that exceed conventional classification parameters. They are survivors, adapters, and persistent predators without parallel. They do not represent a single evolutionary advantage but rather a combination of traits that, when unified, create something unprecedented. They are humanity. And they are just beginning to understand their own potential. Qualifier, never underestimate them. They thrive on being underestimated. Across the galaxy, in council chambers and military headquarters and research stations, that report would be read and reread. Analyzed. Debated. Feared by some. Respected by others. Welcomed by a few. But universally, finally, understood. Humanity had arrived. And the galaxy would never be the same. Zara walked out of the Universal Assessment Chamber with her head high, her shoulder aching, her stomach growling, and a smile on her face. Just another day of being human. Just another day of proving that sometimes, the best evolutionary advantage is simply refusing to quit. And somewhere, in a medical bay getting his ribs properly healed, Commander Thrak of the Thranics Empire made a mental note to never, ever pick a fight with a human again. Unless they asked nicely. Because that fight had been the most fun he'd had in years. Apex classification indeed. The galaxy was about to get a lot more interesting. Subscribe to my channel for more sci-fi stories.